October 5th, 2021, Rules and Appointments Committee. It is now 3:02. Ms. Only, if you would call the roll, please.
Malinowski,
Here.
Barron, Mackey.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay, the first item is approval of the minutes on for September 21st, 2021 on pages 7 through 16. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion to approve the minutes and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Only?
Mr. Chair?
Wait a minute, go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah. And I'm looking back through the notes because I do remember us talking at the last meeting discussing that we were going to hold off on doing interviews because of where we were in the process and kind of focus on some of the other things. But I didn't see that reflected in the minutes unless I missed it.
I can add that. That's not a problem.
I think we're pretty much caught up with interviews also, except for these that are in front of us, right?
The only others that we have are for the Planning Commission, the COG, and Central, and the Council of Relations, Community Council of Relations.
Those groups, to my recollection, have lots of members and they continue until replaced, so. Okay,
Mr. Chair, that
Yes.
was to that point. We're hosting interviews today, and I guess I thought that we were done with interviews, period. For this round, is that not? That's not correct.
no, as my recollection, Ms. Only said we had like 4 left the last time. And then we're done.
So these would be the 4 that are on the agenda today. So our next meeting, you're saying then we would be done or we would take a break?
We still have applications that we could interview for, but they're not time sensitive.
At the next meeting, we'll have notification of appointments, I believe.
Correct.
Okay? Right. No further discussion. Ms. Only, if you'll call the vote, please, for the approval of the minutes.
Malinowski,
As amended with that amendment that came in. Yes?
Barron,
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Next item, number 3, adoption of the agenda. Entertain a motion. Are there any changes, additions, or deletions, Ms. Only?
No, sir.
No, okay. Motion to adopt the agenda.
So move.
Okay.
Second.
Motion and a second. There's no discussion on that. Ms. Only, call for the vote, please.
Malinowski,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Number 4, interviews. The very first one, A, Employee Grievance Committee. 2 vacancies, must be a Richland County employee. 1 seat is an alternate. We have Megan Easler. Right there, she is here. No, you can just sit down, that's fine. Pages 17 and 18.
Chair,
Yes.
can I make a note that we please go into executive session to conduct our interviews?
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll second it since you and I are the only 2 here.
Thank you.
All right. There's only a motion and a second to go to executive session for interviews.
Malinowski,
Yes.
Barron, Mackey.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, so we're in executive. Yes.
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 You is disturbing the members of the committee here. All right, we are out of executive session. No action took place. We interviewed individuals that were applying for the advertised boards, committees, and commission as shown in our agenda today. I would entertain a motion to reconsider the agenda, and the reason is the full council agenda tonight has an appointment section for these individuals we've interviewed, but it is not here on our agenda that we can vote on it.
I will move to reconsider for discussion.
Okay, we got a motion, and I'll second it to reconsider the agenda for discussion. Any discussion right now then?
Yeah, I do have a concern that it appears the last couple of meetings that we're kind of fumbling. We're fumbling with the agenda a little bit. And so if we can tighten it up, it would help us tremendously. And I think you understand, and you the clerk's office, y'all get where I'm coming from. We just had a lot of fumbles lately. And then when it gets to full council, creates another fumble. So that would, I just wanted to go on the record to say that, please.
Okay, any other discussion? Ms.
Yes.
Mackey?
I mean, so we didn't initially have an agenda, and I mean, looking at this, I think there's other applicants that fall under some of these categories, especially for, was it township, TPAC? So I'm not sure at this time, is that what we typically do as far as
I'll defer to
voting
Ms.
for-
Only, but I believe these are applicants that have come in after the deadline that we're interviewing for now. Ms. Only?
The only other applicant we have for the township missed the deadline for application.
So they'll be in the next round of interviews.
Yes.
So you're saying on file, as we've had applications open twice, that we've only received one application the entire time that it's been open?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you said that was for the township,
Yes, ma'am.
and then that person withdrew. And then when you're looking at TPAC, what did you say for TPAC?
I believe that, Ms. Prelo is the only applicant that we've received that's eligible.
So when I'm looking at your sheet, I see two other names listed.
Hang on, let me pull up my agenda. One missed the deadline and the other you have already interviewed and passed over.
So the one that missed the deadline is which name?
Rebecca,
And what was our deadline?
the 27th, August the 27th.
Wait, did you say 6/27 or 8/27?
August the 27th.
August one, okay.
Yes.
So my question would be, if they miss the deadline, but we still need applicants, what is that process? Because it seems like we have individuals that are interested, but we're not interviewing them because they missed the deadline, but yet their file is gonna, their application will stay on file for the next time.
Yes. That's what it is.
Yes.
So what we're doing is that we're saying, not this time, but next time.
Yes.
And we're risking leaving vacancies because we have someone that was late.
Well, you've got to call for deadlines at some point in time, and if you don't have a schedule of deadlines, then you might as well eliminate that and just keep them open constantly, of which it may not be fair to somebody that doesn't become aware of the vacancy. That's why when the advertisements are posted, it shows what the deadline is. And if somebody's responsible enough that they really want to be on that board, committee, or commission, then they need to get their application in by the deadline.
And I agree with you wholeheartedly. I guess my question is, or my concern, I don't know what it is that this applicant is not being interviewed this time because it was late, but we are still willing to interview them next time, correct?
I will tell you that the person from the township, this is his vacancy that we're advertising, and so he is still serving.
So he missed his own deadline.
So, yes, but he missed his own deadline.
Okay, let's stop
Do
talking about
you,
this. Gets worse.
I do have a question now that it continues on this, if I may, Ms. Mackey, and that is, Ms. Only, when a person sends an application in, do you let them know, do you contact them if they've missed the deadline and let them know and tell them, but they will be eligible on the next go-around of interviews?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Mackey?
Okay, and then the other one is the procurement review panel. And so I'm not seeing that listed in our sheet. So can you explain, are you saying that Tina Green,
She is the only person that applied for the procurement review panel.
right, so, sorry, Mr. Chair. If I may, can I just make a friendly amendment to the motion?
Okay. What's the motion now, Ms. Only?
To reconsider the agenda.
Rid of the agenda? Okay.
Oh, thank you. So may I make a motion to reconsider the agenda to add notifications for Employment Grievance Committee and the Transportation Advisory Committee?
I'm not following what you mean by notification of those. You mean re-advertising?
Notification of appointment.
Well, we're reconsidering the agenda, and the purpose is, once we reconsider it, we state what we're doing it for. That's the time we say it,
Okay.
okay? But we gotta have the vote to reconsider it first. Then you can say, we wanna I've mentioned that it was to add the notification of the appointments, notification of appointments.
Yes.
Okay, so that covers what you're saying?
So I guess let's go back to make sure I'm clear then. When you mentioned reconsider the agenda for notification of appointments, I thought you meant all of that was listed, right? So A, B, C, and D. And so I was just making an amendment to your motion to say, okay, can we only do A and B? But if that's out of order, then I'm fine with just doing, accepting your original motion to amend the
I think we
agenda
need to
as
do
stated.
all of them. It's in order, but I wouldn't accept that because the full council agenda has all of these listed. And if we don't cover them all now to give a report when we get there, somebody's gonna ask, well, what happened to this one? So we just do it all, and then we go through and we say, well, this one wasn't eligible or can't make it, and this one, so we just do it all. When it's time to discuss the notification of appointments, that's when we can decide what we want to do.
So just to go back, make sure I'm clear. So what exactly is your motion then?
The motion is to reconsider the agenda so that we can add notification of appointments to the agenda so that the committee can make decisions on appointing, can make decisions to recommend or not recommend an appointment to the full council because it's already on that agenda. But it's not on this one. Normally it's here, but it's not.
I understand that, sir. You said two separate things. So are we reconsidering the agenda only and then we're gonna do another vote? Or are you saying we're doing both of those right now?
We reconsider the agenda to add that to it. Once that's added, then we can discuss it.
Sounds good to me.
Is that okay?
That is
Okay.
fine.
All right. So I have a motion and a second to reconsider the agenda to add notification of appointments. Ms. Only, if there's no further discussion, Ms. Only, if you'll call for the vote.
Malinowski,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
motion passes.
Okay. Now, I would make a motion to add notification of appointments to the agenda for all of these individuals that we just spoke to, A through D. Actually, that's not a D, is it? Supposed to be. Looks like a CI, but it's a D, right? So the motion is to add notification of appointments so we can discuss 4A through D regarding those appointments.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, Miss Only, if you'll,
Malinowski,
yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
motion passes.
Okay. I don't think we needed that, but anyway, now let's go. We've got to discuss here if we're going to appoint anybody, why not, and we'll go with 4A, Employee Grievance Committee. 2 vacancies, 1 seat as an alternate. We filled the full-time one last week. We had the one applicant, Megan Easler. Is there any motion regarding Ms. Easler to recommend to the full council or not recommend?
So this is for an alternate? 'Cause
No, one is an alternate. There are 2 vacancies. One's a regular, full-blown committee member. The other one is an alternate. So you can recommend her for whatever you want if you want to, or for nothing.
I'd like to make a motion to recommend Megan Easler for the full-time seat.
Okay? Motion to appoint Megan Easler as a full-time grievance committee member. Is there a second?
Second.
And a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, Miss Only?
Malinowski,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
motion passes.
All right, next is 4B, the Transportation Planning Advisory Committee. 6 vacancies, 1 individual that we've interviewed, and we have to make a decision whether to make a recommendation to the full council to appoint or not appoint this individual. Is there a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to recommend to full council Ms. Eva Prelude for TPAC.
Second.
And the question I have is, we heard what she said. I think that this is either 3, 4, I don't know which term it is, but we've got 3-year, 4-year, and 5-year terms. She plans on being here 6 months to a year at the most. Keep that in mind. I mean, we can appoint her, but one way or the other, we're going to be back whether we appoint her or don't appoint her.
So for TPAC, she could not remain on.
She can remain.
Yes, she can.
Yeah, so I guess I'm just trying to connect.
That's right. You're right. This is not an employee required
Okay.
item. You're right. Okay. Okay, so we've got a motion and a second to appoint Miss Eva Young Prelude to the TPAC committee. If there's no other discussion, Miss Only?
Malinowski,
Yes?
Barron,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
motion passes.
Item number 4C, the township. I will indicate to the full council that that individual has withdrawn because she cannot make the meetings when they're held. Item number 4D, the procurement review panel, 2 vacancies, 1 applicant, and Miss Tina Green, and Miss Tina Green would represent the applicant from the consumer industry. Is there a motion for her?
make a motion to recommend Ms. Tina Green to the procurement review panel.
Okay. I'll second that. Any discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Only?
Malinowski,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes?
Mackey,
Yes.
motion passes.
All right, so the committee will recommend to appoint Megan Easler as a full-time employee grievance committee member, Ava Prelude to the TPAC committee, the withdrawal of Lisa Wiley for the township, and the appointment of Tina Green to the procurement review panel. The next item of business that we have is 5A. And this is one that we read the last time. I'm not so sure where we are with it.
We read
I
last
move that if matters such as clerk to council search or compensation for interim clerk of council are to be a part of the employee evaluation oversight ad hoc committee, that the name of the ad hoc committee be changed to better reflect what would fall under the purview of its function, responsibility, and/or purpose. If anybody can help me on that one, I'm willing to listen, because I thought that the Employee Evaluation Oversight Ad Hoc Committee was just that. It handled matters relating to employees and their evaluation, of which I see what he's saying, that if we're
Mr. Chair.
searching for an individual or discussing compensation, that's not actual evaluating them.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah, Ms. Mackey.
It was my recollection that we did discuss this at our last meeting, and I thought that we were all okay with the current committee name, and we decided that there was no action that needed to be taken.
And I do recall that now that you say it. And so,
Was that not reflected in the minutes?
I don't remember what I read in the minutes. Let's find out what it said.
There wasn't a motion, there was just discussion about it.
Okay, there was no, here, that was under items for discussion. No. It is, it's on page 15 at the very top, letter C. Maggie stated in her opinion, the name of the ad hoc committee is fine as is. Baron, if we change the name, one of the ad hoc committees established last week could easily fall under this purview. We already have a committee addressing employment issues. We can change the name and put it all under this committee and not have to have the newly established ad hoc committee. What was the newly established committee?
It's the clerk council office
A search.
restructure.
The what?
The clerk to council office restructure.
Restructure, okay.
And so
What's that committee called, Miss Only? Clerk to Council
Council
Restructure
Office
Committee?
Restructure ad hoc committee.
Yes, sir.
And so that committee has a different objective than this committee.
Yes,
And so
okay.
that's what we all agreed.
Mr. Chair, so
Yes.
I think that when even though we had some lengthy discussion about this, I think just kind of going into Mr. Manning's mind at this moment and thinking, I can't go there.
That could be a scary place.
I'm channeling my inner Jim Manning. And so as I channel him, this committee has evolved into so much. It's not only about the clerk to council search, but it's also about the attorney search and now the administrator's evaluation. It's a lot going on there. And so I think that the question should be asked at this point, what is the overall objective of this ad hoc committee? And if the objective is just evaluation, then as I think I said it at the last meeting, then we're doing too much. We're doing the most with that committee. And so I think that's our challenge, is that we've shuffled lots of responsibilities over to this committee.
The only way that I could see it, looking at what it's called the Employee Evaluation Oversight Ad Hoc Committee, the word oversight is where it could give additional responsibilities to the committee, because employee evaluation, once an employee that's under the purview of the council receives an evaluation, many times the next steps are relating to compensation. So therefore, that would come under here. Maybe we should ask the chair what his intent is in this, that based on the name of the committee, that if we're talking about evaluation, then only evaluation should take place in this committee. And if he wants to have other duties assigned to it, that we recommend he give this committee a different name which would cover those other assignments. What do you think about that?
I'm in agreement. I think that we should seek out some information from the chair to get some directives as to what he envisions this committee to be. And
Okay.
or not just the chair, for that matter, council.
Okay. This is an action item, so if we want to make a motion, we can do this and put it to council, although, wait a minute, is this one listed on the agenda? It's not.
It's not.
So I think we need to make a motion so we can have it for the next meeting and get it on the council agenda.
So I'll make a motion.
I would say I'll do it if you, go ahead.
I move to take item 5A, have 5A to be presented to the chair and full council for their input as to the roles and responsibilities of the Employee Evaluation Oversight Ad Hoc Committee.
Okay, you've got that, Ms. Only?
Yes, sir.
I'll second that. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Ms. Maggie.
I feel like that, well, I guess maybe it might help in the process if we, the committee, also provided a name. I guess was the intent of the motion to change the name of the committee, or is the intent of the motion to provide specific duties for the ad hoc? I think it would, if the intent is to change the name, I think we as a committee should provide the full council with a name to get feedback on, rather than asking them to give us a name. Does that make sense?
Go ahead, Ms. Marion, you look like
Yeah,
you're.
so I get that. I get what you're saying. But I think before we can determine, I think we're trying to determine if a name change is needed. So before we can determine if a name change is needed, we have to find out what it is that council
Wants this committee to do.
wants this committee to do.
If they want this particular committee to take on all those other matters, at that point, we need to consider a name change. Okay.
The motion is to just go to council to present them something to give feedback on.
Yes, provide the full council the input that on reviewing this motion, that we feel that this particular committee, the Employee Evaluation Committee, is doing more than just evaluation. So if it's the intent to have this committee continue to do more than just evaluation, then the name should possibly be considered to be changed that would include the other duties that committee performs. And if you don't want that committee to do more than employee evaluation, then you need to create another committee to handle those other duties and give that a proper name. Ms. Barron, does that sum up what your motion is?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Ms. Mackey? Okay? No? Okay. Ms. Only, we've got the motion. The second discussion is completed. If you will call for the vote for that, please.
Malinowski.
Yes.
Barron.
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, so if on the next council agenda and rules committee, you just indicate that that's what we voted on as an action item now here, and it'll be on the full council agenda. Now we're looking at 5B. All, hold on here. July. I'm looking at the dates of these things. That's July 13th, 2020. 5C is October of 2020. I mean, of 2021, that's 2020. We can do them in order. B, all county council contracts and agreements adopted by a majority vote of full council will require a majority vote of full council to amend and or change. Note, this motion should be taken up as soon as possible and not be addressed with the overall council rules update. This one came about because a motion was made to take an action relating to an employee, but the motion itself specifically stated that at the very end, the motion was made with the caveat at the end, and whichever receives the most votes will be the succeeding vote. And the most votes was like 5, I believe, and then it went to 3 and 2 or something like that. And so Mr. Livingston believes that wasn't a proper vote because they didn't have a majority of council votes, but that's not what the motion was. The motion said whoever received the most votes, whichever motion received the most votes would be the succeeding motion. Ms. McLean, did you want to address that one? Is there a need? Go ahead, Ms. Mackey.
I was gonna say, yeah, looking on page 25, I'm assuming are these the notes from Attorney McLean? Or, at our last meeting, we did discuss it, and it was left that Attorney McLean would provide us language at the next meeting. And so I'm guessing on page 25, is this the language, or? Is,
Hey,
Yeah, I didn't, I'd already provided language and I didn't get an amendment to that. I was supposed to add some example language, try to clear that up. But I wasn't able to get it in before this agenda was printed or sent out.
okay, so I would like to see that, I guess, Ms. Malinowski, before I kind of
okay.
make any
Let's-
action on it.
Let's have that on the regular agenda for an action item. Let's also put it on the full council agenda, because we can always say we kept it in committee. But if we've resolved it, we can move it forward to the full council and get it completed. So,
This is
so
for the
let's,
next meeting, what you said?
for the next meeting.
Okay.
Would that give you enough time, you think, Ms. McLean?
Yes, sir, thank you.
Okay. I'll just indicate held in committee for today's. Now, number C, boards, committees, and commissions, recruitment. And that says, direct the Rules Committee to determine which Richland County boards, committees, and commissions should have as a qualification that the person applying must reside in the unincorporated area of Richland County only. There are some of these positions where other municipalities appoint individuals to the committee, is understood here. And if a person applying for one of those positions resides in that municipality, then they should make application through them. Now that one actually, it was almost a year here, and I made another motion down on number 6. They actually should be coupled, because this says based on the fact Planning Commission makes decisions that affect unincorporated Richland County only, members assigned must reside in unincorporated Richland County. So I'm recommending that 6A would actually be covered under 5C, and we can just kind of put them as companions when the time comes. So discussion on that one.
Here.
Yes.
I guess, and I get that they need to reside there. But do we not give any credence to individuals who are employed and or own businesses in a particular area? Because if you look, and just speaking from a business owner's perception, you know, hey, I don't live in Forest Acres, but my business is there. And I would like to be able to take advantage of things that Forest Acres would provide for me. And so I don't want us to shut in qualified individuals out because of the place, because of where they live, and they may have just as much, if you allow me to say, influence by where they work or where they have their business.
Well, if you look at the one that we just did on the interview for Tina Green on 4D for the procurement review panel, it says on there that one applicant must be from the public procurement arena and one from the consumer industry. So it doesn't make any difference where they are in Richland County on that one. They just have to be in Richland County and fulfill that requirements. And it's just like many of our other committees have requirements of a specific nature. And regardless of where in the county they come from, we're looking for the specificity of qualifications that committee is requesting. However, as with the Planning Commission now, the city of Columbia has their own planning commission. You can only be on the city of Columbia's planning commission if you reside within the city of Columbia. So to put somebody from the city of Columbia on our planning commission, no, they need to apply in the city where they live. That's my point on that particular one. And there are some others that I could go through and find for you, but very, very few of them. Most of them are generic in nature and require a qualification which, when filled, can take anybody in from the county.
And I think that to that point, perhaps we should look at with this item being that specific to those committees, those boards, those panels that we're actually targeting, because the way it's stated currently, I can see where there could be you could have some ambiguity. Look.
And I think that's what we need to look at all of them, as you said, decide which ones they are, and that needs to be part of the qualification if that's what we listed as.
I would agree. I would like for us, if we're going to address this, then we address it very specifically.
Right, Ms. Mackey.
Yes, Mr. Chair. And I'm just going to use the Planning Commission as an example because that's the one we've been talking about. So with the Planning Commission, do we have any ordinance that's tied to the Planning Commission that states what the body can and cannot be? Or is this just a preference? Like, does our ordinance state the Planning Commission must be made up of members that reside in unincorporated Richland County?
It does not. That's not to my recollection. That's up to council to determine that.
So if we don't specify, then there's nothing, I don't understand why we would preclude folks that don't live it. Does that make sense? That may live in a municipality. Why would we preclude them?
For the
If our
reason,
ordinance
for the
doesn't
reason
state
I just said, and that is that, do you want somebody making a decision on zoning of a property next to your property that in your mind you're against the rezoning, and the person making the decision has no dog in the fight, so to speak, because of the fact they don't even live in the unincorporated area? So it doesn't make any difference to them possibly what affects you, because it's never going to affect them. You can go complain to them all they want, but it makes no difference. They're not in the same area that you and others are. And as I said, the city requires you to reside within the city to be on their planning commission, and I don't see why we shouldn't have the same type of qualifications.
Well, I think the folks, when you use the city example, I understand that, but when you live in the county, it is true that you live in the city and in the county. You're paying taxes for both. And so there are folks that live in my district that live in the city, and when they ride right outside of their neighborhood, they are in the county.
But they're still in the county if they're in the city.
Correct. And so they care about the planning of Richland County, and they'd be interested in serving on the planning commission.
That's your opinion, and
Yes.
mine's the opposite. I don't feel that if you have any responsibility to the people in unincorporated Richland County, you should be making a decision on what affects the people in unincorporated Richland County.
And I guess
That's why I say that.
I understand you. I think we just disagree. And so for the others, where we're going through this chart and saying that, okay, yes, Blythewood has, a committee, or other municipalities have committees. If our ordinance doesn't state it, I just don't see why we're eliminating folks who pay county taxes and who are wanting to serve, why we're eliminating them from having that ability to.
Well, a lot of these committees, I don't know that they're really here by ordinance either. Do you know that, Ms. McLean? I don't think every committee we have is here by ordinance, is it?
Unless it's an ad hoc committee, it should be done by ordinance. I won't necessarily say that's completely up to date, but you do have a boards and commissions section in chapter 2 of the county code, and it should include all boards and committees. It's not necessarily true, but it should.
But if it's an ordinance, the ordinance was created by the council, correct?
Absolutely, it can be changed anytime.
Yeah, and so it could be, that could be added in if the council believes that that's something they'd like to see added in, or it can be voted down also. So, and I think we need to keep that one here anyway to go through to see what, if any, others there may be that we need to possibly address the same way as Ms. Barron said. So we'll keep that here.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I guess to follow along with that, so if we're keeping that in committee, we have not decided to do that. And so I think we need to be mindful of how we're interviewing folks moving forward and who we're disqualifying and not or not moving forward, since we haven't made a decision about that.
Say that again. We haven't made a decision, so we need to be mindful of what?
Of who we interview and who we're saying they're not qualified. Because I believe we've told certain folks that they're not qualified for an interview, and that's not necessarily the case. Because council has not decided.
Right, and we also had something like this once before where a decision was pending regarding qualifications, and because there was some question as to whether or not a person could or couldn't be qualified, pending the outcome of the vote, any appointments were just put on hold until that was decided. So that's a possibility also.
I just want to be clear. Y'all good as to how we move forward? Okay.
Okay. That's the last one here. Well, we've got D that gives us all these changes. Now, I've written down page numbers with question marks or comments on some of the different boards, committees, and commissions. If,
Mr. Chair,
yes,
I'm sorry, before you move on to D, I do think as far as C, there, if you look on page 29,
right?
there is a draft schedule that the clerk has provided, and I don't know if we need to take action on that or not.
29. Oh. No, we don't need any action on that.
Okay, so how long will this stay as a draft document?
As only. You have this on page 29 listed as a draft. Can you answer the question? Why, how long it will stay as a draft? I mean, is it until the publication of the ad goes through, or what?
That was just an outline of how we could go about, and if you agree with that, then I'm fine with you, you're not even voting on it. I just wanted you to.
Okay,
see
so that goes with the
what
pages.
my thoughts were on how we would go forward with applications. I've extended the application period to 3 weeks instead of the 2, to give people more time to get their applications in.
Okay, so that goes with these previous colorful pages, right?
Those are the applications that I still have on file that are not over.
Okay, so this is your recommendation as to this, the process that we follow?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, I saw that. I have to admit, I did not look at it with detail. Ms. Mackey? What do
Yes,
you-
I'm fine with the schedule, and I just wanted to make sure that we gave the clerk the approval that she needed to move forward, because I know October 19th is coming very fast, and so I didn't want us to leave this meeting with the draft and she not have clear direction that it was okay to move forward.
Okay, so you're gonna make a motion on that one then?
Yes.
Then we'll be covered on that. Go ahead.
Motion to approve the board, commissions, and committee vacancy and application deadline schedule submitted on page 29.
Second.
Okay, motion in a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Only?
Malinowski,
Yes?
Barron,
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Hey. Where would that, okay, that would fall under C, that's where it was. So, page 29, approved for clerk to move forward. And I don't believe that's something we need the full council to approve, do we? Ms. McLean, what do you think? I mean, it's kind of for the benefit of the committee here for the clerk to move forward.
If it's only for the benefit of the committee, I think you can go without council.
Okay. So we'll move forward based on the committee vote. Now, on D, the boards,
Chair?
committees, and, yes,
I'm sorry. And
All right.
I do not, it is not my intention to continue to interrupt you, but I just,
don't do it.
that's okay. But I really want, before you move on, I just want to hit the other pages that are in C. And so on pages 30 and 31, there are a list of advertisements that were from August 2021. And so based on the schedule that was on page 29, the clerk would be running her next advertisement soon. And so I just wanted to make sure, I know these were the old advertisements, but will we receive any updated positions? I guess, does that make sense? Your updated advertisement language?
Yes, ma'am. It'll actually be on the next committee meetings agenda.
Thank you.
Yeah, I saw that as just in information pages there.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Hey, Ms. Mackey, what's next?
Well, I was thinking we could look at 4D.
4D?
Yeah,
Let's do that.
Great.
Okay. All right, 4D. And this is where the Ms. Only has taken the time to update the descriptions and duties for all of our boards, committees, and commissions. Starts on page 33. Any comments on the first one, which is the COG, Central Midlands Council of Government? Everyone's fine with that?
And I'm gonna say this, I think we kind of covered this earlier, but in general, for all of these, I think whether or not they live in the county, don't live in the county, whatever that specifies, I think that would be the missing piece for several of these, as far as description wise.
Yeah, and myself, I'd like to go back, I'm gonna go back and do that separately, because I didn't have that in mind when I was looking at them the first time through. So we could all do that. The next one, Community Relations Council. The only comment I have is the very last line at the bottom of page 33, where it says, applicants will be responsible for assisting with fundraising efforts. That was not in the last one we had, and that is a new language that's been added. Where did that come from? Did these folks give it to us, or did it just get added?
It was actually a note that was left by the former clerk, but I
Okay.
do believe that's a part of their, Ms.
All
Barron's
right.
shaking her head, yes, that is a part of
So
their
it's an,
duties.
it's an addition based on a note you found. All right, that's
Yes.
fine. And then the next page, 34, it says about the meetings held on the third Thursday of every month. In a previous committee meeting, that was also different. I can tell you what it said.
It was included, the meeting that they had on there was the luncheon club.
Correct, and I spoke with the executive director, and he gave me the updated times for the meeting.
Yeah, the previous one said meetings are held on the fourth Thursday of the month, except for December when the meeting is held on the second Thursday at noon. So which one is correct?
The one that is listed now.
That's an update, okay.
Mr. Chair,
Uh-huh.
I just want to, because I want to make sure, Ms. Only, the information that you presented to us is the most recent information.
Yes, ma'am.
So what we had previously is
Some
there-
of it
there-
has
some-
changed
I saw-
very drastically.
Yeah, lots of changes, in it, but it came directly from that organization?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're welcome. On most of these, as we went through, I'm on page 34 for LRADAC now. At the bottom where it says preferred experience / qualifications. I thought the committee had said that we don't really want to make it a qualification, but rather an experience, as it says, or we could put / skills. But these boards, committees, and commissions, many of them, the ones that have qualifications, that's fine. But these are the ones that are asking for specific experience or skills. So I don't think we should be commenting on qualifications, because there really aren't qualifications.
I think experience.
Experience is enough?
I can make that change, that's not a problem.
Okay, so on all of them, if there is not a qualification, we'll just say preferred experience and leave it at that. Okay? All right, that was page 34. Now page 35. Anything there?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
And I guess this is for the clerk. So for some of these, like we start out the first two, we have a name and a phone number, but no email address. And then for others, we start providing an email address. Did the first two not have email addresses, or is there a possible way that we could get that as well?
Some of them I didn't have the email addresses for, but I can try to get those.
Okay.
Okay. Done with 34, and moving on to 35, if there's no additions or comments on that, we'll go to page 36. Same question I have here, Miss, only the meeting date is different than what was provided to us before. So this would be accurate, right?
For which one? For your-
Board of Zoning and Appeals. It says the meeting's on the first Monday of each month at 3 p.m. And the one we previously had said the meetings were held on the first Wednesday of each month at 3
I
p.m.
believe it is the first Wednesday. I'll check that one.
Okay. If you come back with a change on this, could you just let us know that, you know, you've looked at it and that this one is correct versus another?
Yes, sir.
Mr.
And the same thing here, preferred experiences is all we need. Yes. Ms. Barron?
I was just kind of, I'm going back and forth, looking at consistency. Because I know that's something that we've had lots of conversation about. So the ones that do not provide us with preferred experience, they just didn't offer it, or?
No, ma'am. Some of them I have contacted several times and I get no response.
And so, and I guess I'll start. So the ones up at the top, like, I know, I'll just go with one of my favorites, CRC. We know CRC has a new executive director. So in order for you to have gotten that information, you spoke
Wait a minute,
to.
what page you on?
That is page 33. And so
Yeah.
we know you spoke to Mr. Sally. I think that as we really want this document to be consistent. So if we're getting qualifications from anyone, then we want to try to get them from all of them. Even if they don't provide it, for the sake of consistency, let's still list it and say, you know, preferred experience, you know, we could just, you know, coin a statement, none. But when we're talking about that document flow, I think it's going to be helpful because people will start to look at a document and will start to want to see certain things because of how we've laid it out.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, that's good, thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
That was my attempt.
Go ahead, Ms. Mackey.
I would like to suggest, can we add a term limit? So for some of these, like we say, you know, 3-year terms, max 2 term limits, if that exists, for each committee.
Yeah, I know there was one in particular that it just said there were no term limits. I don't know if you're referring to a specific one in here or not, but
I was looking at, just looking at the Board of Zoning and Appeals, like, do they have a term limit?
oh, here it is. No,
All
that's
right,
assessment.
36.
Mr. Price
36.
said it's 2 terms.
Yeah, so I think that would be good to just add it, so folks know. Yes, ma'am, Ms. McLean, Attorney McLean.
I was just gonna say that that's actually in the ordinances about the boards and committees, so they just need to make
That should
sure
be
it
it.
matches up.
Thank you.
And I think as Ms. Barron and Ms. Mackey are stating, if we get this information out there, if every one of them has qualifications, if there's experience, if it has something, fine. If there's nothing, none. Maybe if somebody sees it from one of these organizations, they're going to say, hey, wait a minute, we want certain experience, and they'll give it to you. So we need to list it, and also with this, we need to have term limits right up there, because it may be a 3-year term limit, and somebody's going to say, oh, well, I'm being promoted, I'm leaving the area in a year, so I won't apply. So you're both right. I think we need to have those right up top with part of what's required. All right, that was for 36. Now we've got 37. Well, that it's a continuation at the top for the Building Codes Board of Appeal. And this says required experience qualifications for applicants. Now these it sounds to me like it's required qualifications, not just experience. But these are required qualifications. And the one thing I asked, I know once before, I haven't seen a change or any info, but when it says that maybe the people applying, maybe the staff know it, maybe staff knows it, I don't know it if I'm reading this as an outsider. It says a registered design professional, registered this, registered that. But can I be registered in California and qualify? Does that count? Or do we want somebody that's registered in South Carolina? Do we want somebody registered in 2 or 3 states that just surround us? Or is registered with anybody fine? Here comes Mr. Price. I think he's going to give us that answer. Can you give us that answer?
While I do want to confirm with our, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. I want to confirm with our building department, but because we operate under the South Carolina code, that they should be registered in the state of South Carolina.
Okay, thank you. Then on that, we need to say registered South Carolina, all these things. Anything else on page 37? Right, over to page 38.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
and so here's my type A showing up again. I apologize, Ms. Only, but I don't. And that is, we've got some that we say, when we say 5, we list the number of positions that we have vacant. Some of them are bold on some pages, some are not bold on some pages.
That I can definitely fix.
Okay.
So, yeah, I know it's a little type A, but I'm all about this document being really consistent.
It's okay.
Okay. Moving on to page 38. Library Board of Trustees. There were also some differences between this and a previous one. The Library Board of Trustees. Duties and powers. Oh, it was just, here's what it was. In a previous one, there was a long list of 5 different preferred experiences with a lot more detail behind it. Ms. Only, could you take a look at that and make sure we don't need that in here? If you want to make a note, it's on page 72 of the April 6, 2021 agenda. Yes.
While you're discussing the library board, I don't know if you would want to include it or not, but the library has, I'm trying to think of what it's called, but they have a trustee agreement of responsibilities that they expect people to sign and agree to if they want to be part of the board. Okay, so I don't know if we want to reference that here. We don't have to include it because it's probably on their website, but you may want to mention it.
I think it probably wouldn't hurt to include it because somebody could read that and say, there's no way I'm signing that.
That is where the language in the document came from. It came off of their,
That's from what Ms. Newton saying?
yeah, that's where it came from.
Okay, yeah, and if you don't have what you, obviously the library is super responsive for things, but I think I have in my file somewhere whatever their board agreements are also.
So those are actual requirements to serve on that board, correct?
Yes, they would expect that you would.
Right, so I think we need to put that in there and list them as requirements.
Okay. I will call Ms. Taylor.
Okay, anything else on page 38? Over to page 39. At the very top, the start of the first full paragraph where it says the board meets quarterly. Yeah, okay, that's fine. The last time it said 4 times per year. I guess that's the same, right? Yeah, okay. Next, the River Alliance Board. I noticed some differences on that one. This one says that the board meets once or twice per year as needed. The previous one said the meetings are held as needed with no more than 2 or 3 times per year. So let's make sure we either are meeting once or twice or 2 or 3 times. It may not be a big deal, but we've got 2 different pieces of information in 2 different places. That's all I have for that one. Anyone else? All right, we'll go to page 40. Mr. Acer, do you have anything? 'Cause you're the liaison with them.
I am, but, and as I'm looking at this, and you know, I love to sit in on these meetings with y'all, because I serve as liaison to a lot of these boards. And, would it be possible when we're doing our interviews to kind of copy paste some of these requirements into our, packets for that time, so that when it can just be top of mind, because it can get very, I don't know how y'all keep track of it, but thank you. That's just, and I don't know if this committee would have to approve changing the agenda packet to include the requirements.
Yeah, me, I just try to keep these handy and I look at them as we're doing the interview.
All right, you have a you're gonna have to tell me your organizational practices.
All right, I can do that.
I think I could do that.
But if you think you can do
Yeah,
that,
I think I could do like the cover sheet where I put the notes from the committee meetings. I could just copy and paste that.
yeah, just kind of paste it in front of the applicants for that specific group.
Correct.
Okay. All right, that was page 39, on to page 40. The township, Derek, that's you that has liaison with them, right?
Yes, sir. And I was just actually looking at my calendar. We have a meeting tomorrow from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m.
All right, so it's 9 o'clock tomorrow. All right, so should we state in here, meetings are held 9 or 10 a.m.? Okay, so they're either at 9 or 10 a.m. for about,
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair. 9 a.m. to 10 a.m., that's a standing meeting time. So it wouldn't be either or. It'd be
oh, okay, so the meetings are at 9 a.m. lasting approximately 1 hour. Okay. The other question I have in this, well, I guess McLean, maybe you can, do you have our agenda there? I'm looking at page 40. And the way this is stated, where it starts, the board of directors shall not be less than 7 or more than 15, as determined by the board of directors. Then what are we doing here? It says members are appointed by county council or appointed by invitation from the board of directors. It seems like we've got a little conflict here. Either the board's appointing them or the council's appointing them. Because based on this language, the board could actually appoint everyone and get who they want for whatever purposes. So I'm not sure if we need a language change in here or who's actually responsible for appointing these folks.
I think that's actually the first step, is make sure we actually know what our job is. And I'm assuming what happened is we do have some appointment authority, and it may just be a little ambiguous, but we just need to check on that, and then we can get back to you about a language change.
Okay, so Ms. Only, would you make that notation that we need to find out who is actually responsible for appointments to the township board? Anything else on 40? If not, we'll go up to page 41, Historic Columbia Foundation at the top. I've got a concern with one item in here. And again, Ms. McLean, if you would just hear me out on this one, where it said, board members are requested to, and it gives 2, 3, or 5 bullet points. The second bullet point says, make a financial contribution and maintain an individual membership while serving on the board. If this is a public appointment and they're volunteer appointments, I'm not so sure that we can require somebody to make a financial contribution to feather your nest. Or am I just wrong in my thought process?
I wouldn't say you're wrong, but so the way I read it though, it's not a requirement, it's a request, but some of this happens to be about what kind of thing you're appointing to, but I don't see any reason why, if y'all wanted to leave that out, you could. I think that's going to be totally up to you guys.
I kind of look at it that if you're requesting somebody to make a financial contribution, it's sort of like, well, how big is it? I got plenty of money. What's it going to take me to buy a seat on the board?
No, I understand. Yeah.
Yeah.
We also said it. You could leave it there, but it also, I don't think you could use, or you should use that to determine if somebody is going to be on the board. We might request it, but what if somebody says no? Fine. You're still on the board. You don't have the money to donate something. That's, it's all
Okay,
good.
that's fine. We can still make the
Whichever you like.
appointment based on what we feel is best.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah, Ms. Barron.
and it goes back to the CRC. It's the same thing, and it's a request. When I sat on the CRC board, we had a give or get, and I call myself a professional board member. I really think that you buy in. If you're a part of an organization, you want someone to sit on a board that has financial buy-in, whether they donate to the organization or they request through fundraising. So I just think that when we look at, a lot of these are nonprofits, and this is how they get their money. So I definitely don't want us to take that away. I don't think that is something that it's a decision factor for us, but I do think that we want to leave it so that individuals know what the expectation is, whether they can do it or not. At least they go in knowing, okay, this is something maybe I need to address.
Ms. Newton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I guess just to echo Ms. Barron's comments, not just in terms of CRC, but this is not me saying Richland County needs to include it, but it is a standard part of probably the vast majority of nonprofit boards where they ask for a give or get. And in fact, many nonprofit boards, when they go out for funding, are evaluated on whether or not their board members are contributing to the organization, because it is a factor that funding organizations and rating organizations measure as a term of commitment, and if it's an organization worth investing in. Again, this is not me saying Richland County has to include it or should decide based on it, but it is not an outlier. And in fact, I remember when I was in my young 20s, there was a board that asked me to serve, and they said, we want to be in your top 3, and we would like $10,000 a year. And I said, you would like to find somebody else, because I think what you do is good, but I already have a top 3.
All right, well, thank you both for that input. We'll just, I think we'll just leave that one as it is then. And I guess it'll be up to them what they say they'd like to request, the amount. All right, anything else on 41? If not, let's move over to page 42. Any comments there? I have a comment for the Conservation Commission, but my comment is on, it can go anywhere. I put it on page 43. I just wrote meetings, ? We need to find out from Quentin Epps, who's a Richland County employee, when the Conservation Commission meets. And if he won't give it to you, Miss Only, I think we can get the administrator to get that from him, since you've asked about 3 times and received no answer yet. And if they don't have regular scheduled meetings, then let's so indicate.
But to that point, if
Yes.
they don't have regularly scheduled meetings, why do we need this board?
Well, even if they put in their meets as needed, like a couple others have done.
Correct.
Yeah,
I agree.
okay. Ms. Horatio?
Yes, I was just going to say that I remember when I first got on council, those meetings showed up on my calendar. And because I was a brand new council member, I just went because it was on my calendar. So, yeah, that was a practice that was done in the past. I don't know why it has fallen off.
I believe that they kind of held off during the pandemic, and I don't know if they've started back up again.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
That's no excuse. You were asking for this information prior to the pandemic, if my recollection is right. Okay. On to page, let's see, that was 43. Page 44 is a continuation, it's the Midlands Regional Convention Center Authority. It says it's currently suspended. Is that correct, Administrator Brown? Do you know that? If not, we'll have to find out from somebody if
Yes,
it's
sir.
true.
I'm not familiar with, by that title, what organization that is, by that title.
Zondy, where did you get that info?
It has been suspended since 2016.
Oh, it was that long ago? Well, we
It's been a
kept
while.
getting all this info in here. So if that's the case, why do we have it here then? If it's, can you check and find out if there's any ordinance or requirement, state requirement for that authority? Attorney McLean, you, I'm sure wouldn't know that right off the top of your head, would you?
I don't, but I can check on it.
Yeah, let's find out if we're not required to have them, then let's just eliminate them from this board, committees, and commissions thing. All it says over here previously is that there were 3-year term limits I see, and it says currently suspended, but let's check and see if we even need that one. On to page 45. Under the experience, the first bullet point says actively participate in all the activities of the association. Do you think that's something that we kind of need to list? I mean, that, hey, there's 10 items that take place per year, or is there, it says for additional information, contact. So maybe we need to, at that point, direct them to the attention of that email address below. And a telephone, yeah. So that the people can see. I mean, we don't want to send somebody there and then they find out, I can't participate in all those things. And then the board says, well, we don't need you. And then we've wasted our time. Okay, anything else on 45? If not, we'll go to 46. 46, the Riverbanks Park Commission. My concern with that one is the third paragraph where it says meetings are held the third Thursday of every month at noon. And then it says, following that immediately, it says meetings, agendas, and locations will be posted at the Riverbanks website 24 hours in advance. Okay, I was thinking that's a notice for the members. No, it already tells the members when they're meeting the third Thursday of every month at noon. All right, I'm fine with that. Anything from anyone else on 46? Move over to 47. The only comment I have is on the Animal Care Advisory. We should be able to get some info there, but there are no preferred skills or experiences listed that I saw. If you would please get something from them. I mean, maybe you only need to know how to handle locking up an animal or catching them with a butterfly net. I don't know. if we could get something there. And then at the bottom of page 47, where we only have employee grievance committee, and turn over to the next page, 48. While it says the members must be Richland County employees with at least 4 members working for department heads who report directly to the county administrator, are there any real qualifications for that? We don't have any listed. So again, this is one where we have to say experience, none. And then is there any, what is it, Miss Barron's not here. She brought it to the attention, any term limit. If it's none, then let's list it because we want the consistency. So if there's no preferred experience, we put none. If there's no term limit, we put none. If you could get with the chair, Joe Halbeck, and find that out. Under Hospitality Tax Committee, same thing. There is no listing of preferred experience. Maybe we don't need any. Again, put none. There's also, okay, it lists the term limit. So that's what we need for that one. Page 49, Internal Audit Committee. Down in the bullet points under appointment 1, 2, 3, 4, the 5th bullet point where it says per ordinance. I can't speak for my colleagues, but I'd like to see that ordinance, what it actually says as far as the Internal Audit Committee and what's required of them. And then this is one of those that what the audit, what the persons assigned to the audit committee do, it tells us what they must have there. So these are actually qualifications. And this is one of those that, Ms. Mackey, I'm not sure on both 1 and 2 where it says must be a citizen of Richland County. Administrator Brown, would you say that the Internal Audit Committee is auditing financial matters within Richland County departments?
According to the purpose, it says that it does. It says it provides independent oversight and support of other departments to ensure public resources are being handled responsibly. So
Right.
It sounds to me like it would, sir.
So do you think this is something that it makes no difference where a person resides as long as they're in Richland County?
Based on the profession, I think the profession matters more than the whether you live within an incorporated or unincorporated area,
Okay,
sir.
very good. Thank you. That's the end of page 49. Let's move over to page 50. Let's see. Okay, these are, on this one at the, on page 50, preferred, these are qualifications. It says specifically you have to serve in these different areas in order to qualify to be on that board. And that one does say no term limits. Page 50 at the bottom, Transportation Penny Advisory Committee. While it lists that it's composed of, in the second paragraph, composed of 15 citizens representing, and it says the different municipalities, I'd like to see the number that each municipality has representing them. Well, it says we appoint 7, and it tells what the terms are. I think it would be nice to see how many each of the others appoint also.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I did have just wanted to point out for the procurement review panel, where it lists those one member,
Right.
and they are qualifications, but we have another way that we have listed them in the previously in the document. So perhaps we can just, instead of having them list as experience and qualifications, we just put them in a paragraph above to say the panel is consisted of one member for this, one, instead of listing it out and then going back to the panel and asking for experience. Or not. If they don't have any, then we can do what we said earlier, just say none. But I think that we, just again, for consistency of the document, if we just list that in paragraph form versus the bullets.
Okay, I like the bullet form because you can look at it quickly and see what they are. And maybe if in paragraph form, maybe you said, the panel shall be composed of 5 members with no term limits from the following areas, put the colon, and then list them out with commas: public procurement, service industry. That's what you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah, that's fine. Let's do that one. All right. We're done with 50. Page 51. I don't have anything on that one. The last page, page
51.
50.
I have something on 51.
Yeah, go ahead.
And again, when we talk numbers, we have them listed with the word and the actual number. On page 51, at the bottom there, we just have words.
Okay, the 2 elected and 1 citizen, and 3 representatives.
Correct.
Okay, for consistency, let's do as we're doing with the others. On page 52, it says board meetings are held the 4th Wednesday of each month. The previous info I had said the 2nd Wednesday. This is an update? MRTA. Previous info
Can
we
you
had.
repeat the questions?
Yeah, previous info we had says that they met on the 2nd Wednesday. Current info that's in front of us says 4th Wednesday.
Okay, this I can confirm with my calendar.
All right. And previously it said noon and now it says 2 p.m.
Okay, so we have, the next committee days are on the 13th. So whatever day that is, at 10 for finance and 12 for service. And we do ask that everybody serve on one of those.
Okay, so the 13th is a Wednesday, but it's not the 4th Wednesday.
No, but then on the 27th, which is a Wednesday at noon, that is when the next full board meeting goes.
That's what we're appointing for, correct? The full board here?
Yes, and then they would just, it could be helpful if we would also let them know that they will be asked to serve on either the finance or service committee.
Okay.
Because that may be helpful information in deciding whether they want to serve or not.
Hey, let's finish this one the next time because I'm looking at we've got less than 1 minute left in this meeting. And Ms. Only, if you'll keep that in mind, and we'll continue with this very last one at the next meeting.
Yes, sir.
I'll entertain a motion for the last item on the agenda.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, I've got a motion to adjourn in a second. Ms. Only?
Malinowski,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
motion passes.
Thank you, everyone, for attending. Staff members, my colleagues on council.
Well done.